Support for Colorado Today comes from Credit Union of Colorado. With access to over 30,000 ATMs and a mobile app, they're dedicated to offering the services of a big bank with a heart. Learn more at honestlygood.org.
Support for Colorado Today comes from Safeway, where teachers can save 5% every day. Download the Safeway app and verify your teacher status for exclusive offers and discounts. Get started at Safeway.com or in the Safeway app.
With wildfires subsided at the Black Canyon of the Gunnison National Park, the South Rim area will reopen today. Firefighters managed to save the visitor center, but the fires that burned more than 4,000 acres did destroy several maintenance and storage buildings. The biggest fire there is still burning in some steep parts of the canyon, and officials say it may not be fully contained until the first snowfall. I'm Bazi Kanani. Coming up, you might see a rabbit that looks like it has horns or tentacles in northern Colorado right now.
Their immune system will eventually defeat it and the growths will fall off on their own.
We'll explain the crazy images of bunnies you may have seen online. Then, as school starts, a plan for students and volunteers to build housing for teachers.
Fewer than 20% of homes on the market are affordable to the average teacher in Colorado.
What one Colorado school district is doing and how it could be replicated. Plus, an innovation in highway signs to help you avoid hitting animals with your car.
So I was just wondering, how do the lights know when to come on and flash?
It's Monday, August 18th. Here's the news in Colorado today. A resident in Fort Collins saw something strange recently and reported it to Colorado Parks and Wildlife. Then the agency got several more calls about rabbits that appeared to have something growing out of their heads. In the past week, people have called them demon rabbits or Frankenstein bunnies. Kara Van Hoos from Parks and Wildlife is going to tell us what's really going on. Kara, how would you describe what these rabbits look like?
What we're seeing is rabbits with sort of black wart-like growths coming out of their faces. And sometimes these can look like horns, sometimes they look like tentacles, or they can be smaller, sort of bead-like, as you would think a wart normally looks like. But they can grow all over their face. And I think people are kind of alarmed by it at first because you know what a rabbit's face is supposed to look like. But otherwise, these are benign growths that are happening as a strain of the rabbit papillomavirus.
I'm wondering how widespread this might be. How many sightings have there been of these bunnies with growths on their head, and where are the calls coming from?
We're taking the majority of calls from northern Colorado, but this is a virus that's found throughout the state and really throughout the country as well, because it's something that's very common and happens cyclically in the summertime. But I think for whatever reason, people are just starting to take notice, or the internet has certainly taken notice of these rabbits this year, and people are calling us. We don't know if it's maybe more widespread this year, or if people are just kind of seeing the same rabbits over and over again, or if maybe they're just for the first time calling and letting us know.
So this is not new. Kara, you mentioned a virus. So what exactly is going on with these rabbits?
Just like humans can be infected with the papillomavirus, this particular strain affects rabbits by biting insects like fleas, ticks, mosquitoes, that sort of thing. And they infect the rabbits, and then the rabbits start to grow kind of wart-like growths on their face. I think it affects each rabbit in a unique way, so they kind of grow their own sort of new face things coming out of them. But they're mostly benign to the rabbits. And because this is a virus, rabbits are able to clear it from their system. Their immune system will eventually defeat it and the growths will fall off on their own. So it's nice that once you realize the rabbits are not necessarily being harmed by this, that you can kind of appreciate what nature is doing here. Imagine growing horns and then being okay with it. A couple of weeks later, they just go away.
Is there any danger that this could spread to other animals besides rabbits, to our pets or our kids if they were to get too close?
This particular strain of the papillomavirus is only spread between rabbits. So it could spread to other domestic rabbits, if you let your bunny out at night, into the yard or something. This is something you should be aware of like that. But we would also encourage you to just practice those general wildlife principles that we always tell you. Leave animals alone, and it also kind of lessens the spread of maybe other diseases, maybe that rabbit or yourself could have.
Kara, any idea how this virus outbreak might end? Will these rabbits just continue to pass this along and to get this papillomavirus, or does it sort of dwindle and go away?
The transmission cycle peaks in the summertime because that's when fleas and ticks are the most active and alive. And then when we get into winter months and they sort of go dormant or they die off, we see transmission cycle also come down from the peak then as well. So yes, once we get into fall and winter, the growth will die off, fleas and ticks won't really be around anymore, and then we shouldn't have these rabbits with horns going around.
Kara Van Hoos is with Colorado Parks and Wildlife. Thanks, Kara.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
A school district in southern Colorado is trying something new to help its employees live nearby. It's helping them build houses that eventually they can own. And it's the kind of thing the state may need more of because a new report shows Colorado's housing affordability crisis is threatening the stability of the state's public education system. KRCC's Brianna Heaney is in Colorado Springs, where construction on these homes will begin soon. Bree, what school district are we talking about here, and why are they doing this?
We're talking about the Widefield School District. It's in southeastern Colorado Springs. Widefield's superintendent told me that the district has undeveloped land that was set aside for them by developers. And with that land, they're building the homes with Pikes Peak Habitat for Humanity. Statewide, fewer than 20% of homes on the market are affordable to the average teacher in Colorado, according to the Keystone Policy Center.
Is there a model for this? Have other school districts done this before?
Not this program exactly, but the Aspen School District built tiny homes for employees, and Eagle School District started building affordable rental homes years ago. A new Keystone Policy Center report strongly encourages school districts to build more housing like this. It quotes teachers from all over the state who are paying 40% of their income on housing, people who have master's degrees and are making $44,000 a year.
That's really not a lot in a place that can be as expensive as Colorado.
Yeah, it's pretty grim. It says the lack of affordability of housing is a major reason behind the state's teacher shortage. Teachers told the research center they've seen colleagues leave to take jobs at car dealerships or restaurants, where they can make more money. The research center asked teachers if they'd want their school district to be their landlord, and 70% said, yeah, they're comfortable with that.
So back to the project in the Widefield district. How many houses are being built?
So the plan is to build 41 units, and 14 of them will specifically be set aside for school district employees. And it's a special arrangement through Habitat for Humanity where the houses will be designed for employees' needs. And the employee and their family, if they have one, will also have to put in some labor.
So the teacher will be helping to build their own house.
Yes, and so are the students. The goal by the end is for families to be the full owners of the house and the land. Habitat for Humanity told me this program aims to go beyond just affordable housing, but to be affordable home ownership.
It can be hard to build affordably in Colorado. How much does each of these houses cost to build?
The average cost of each of these houses is $360,000. That's with inflation and recently imposed tariffs. These houses are built with 90% volunteer labor, which keeps the cost lower. They plan to break ground in October and finish the first housing units about a year and a half from now. So they won't help this school year, but Laura Williams Parrish at Habitat for Humanity says the idea is for these homes to be long-lasting.
So many of our homeowners talk about, I have something I can leave my kids. They can come here for Christmas, and things like that. They can come back home.
And building housing on district land is just one idea that the Keystone Center proposes to help more teachers stay in their jobs. Another idea they suggested is for schools to partner with private building owners and landlords to subsidize rent. There are many ideas for ways schools can help teachers, but again, the key takeaway from this report is that a lot of teachers in the state need help securing stable and affordable housing.
A concerning problem for our schools. KRCC reporter Brianna Heaney. Thanks, Bri.
You're welcome.
When you drive around many parts of Colorado, you've probably seen those Animal Crossing signs. The yellow diamond, often with a silhouette of an elk or a deer, and flashing lights. A listener named Kelsey Ruby wrote to us because she's confused. Whenever she's seen a sign like this in Golden, with its lights flashing, she's never seen wildlife actually crossing the road or even alongside it.
So I was just wondering, how do the lights know when to come on and flash?
Arlo and CPR's Caitlin Kim answer this question as part of our Colorado Wonders series.
Caitlin, what causes the lights on these wildlife crossings to flash?
Well, Arlo, most of the ones in the state are static signs, where the beacons flash 24/7, if they have them, or they just flash during certain times of the year, such as the spring and fall migration seasons. But the one in Golden, where Kelsey is commuting to for work, is special.
Special? How so?
Well, the sign system along her commute is an infrared system that was put in place in 2011. So, in theory, when an animal approaches, the equipment detects its heat signature and the lights start to flash. But, the critter may not always be visible. And it also has some challenges, for example, when there's heavy snow. Still, it's one of 2 sites in the state that use an active wildlife detection system, meaning they're actually trying to detect wildlife to set off the Animal Crossing signs.
You said there's 2. Where's the other one?
Well, this newer system is located a 25-minute drive north of Craig in northwestern Colorado on a section of Route 13, a long road that connects Interstate 70 and Interstate 80. But unlike the one in Golden, this system utilizes radar.
That's pretty cool. And you actually went out to see that system, right?
Yes, I did. And at first glance, it seems like the usual yellow and black deer crossing sign, but right behind or on the other side of the road, depending on which way you're traveling, is this tall gray pole with a camera and a 360-degree rotational radar unit. When it senses a large animal on the shoulder of the road, such as a deer or elk or, a reporter getting out of the car to take a photo, the lights turn on and flash, and a sign that says slow down also lights up.
Now, I understand that this is part of a larger Animal Crossing project, so what's up with that?
Well, CDOT has essentially created this half-mile long Animal Crossing zone. There's high fencing along the highway leading up to the zone, and, they have zap mats and cattle guards at intersections to prevent animals from crossing there. So, all these measures push wildlife into this half-mile section with lower fencing where the radar system can warn drivers when animals are on the road. Before starting this Animal Crossing project, CDOT engineer Jenny Schnackenberg said Parks and Wildlife did a carcass count along a 14 or 15-mile stretch of Highway 13 and identified over 1,900 remains of different animals. Yeah, it's a grim number. But Schnackenberg says the system seems to have made a difference.
Just driving the project every once in a while, I know how many carcasses were out here before we built this project. And you would see fresh roadkill regularly on the side of the road, and you don't really see near as much of that right now. So just to me, from what I've seen, I do think it's definitely helping.
CDOT is still studying the system, and we should know sometime next year how effective it really is.
Caitlin Kim, thank you so much.
Thank you.
This question came to us through Colorado Wonders, where we do our best to try and answer your burning questions about the state. Submit yours at the link in our show notes.
Additional reporting for today's episode came from CPR's Jenny Brundine. Keep up with what's happening in your state. Be sure to follow Colorado Today in your podcast app. I'm Bazi Kanani. This is CPR News.
Support for Colorado Today comes from Safeway, where you can make back to school a breeze. Shop lunch essentials, snacking favorites, and even check off vaccinations all in one trip. Get started at Safeway.com or in the Safeway app. Support for Colorado Today comes from Credit Union of Colorado. With access to over 30,000 ATMs and a mobile app, they're dedicated to offering the services of a big bank with a heart. Learn more at honestlygood.org.